Hi. So I'm gonna try and continue my little series that I've been working on about plugins, and I wanted to do a video on trash. Um, this is because the other day I was watching a little. Well, I think I was on a. Yeah, I was watching a YouTube video, and the question of distortion came up, and someone said, I don't remember who it was. I think not too sure, but they were like, they don't use trash because trash is always extremely loud and it's quite obvious that it's trash. And I was like, well, that's not true. Um, I guess it's the way people are using trash or certain producers use trash. And I'm not saying everyone uses trash like this, but I reckon when people load up trash, they go for um, the default program. So the default looks like, let's get rid of that. The default version of trash, if I open up, maybe it's this one, it will show it. Let me see. Um, yeah, so the default version's trash is like this, right? So if I crank something up, if I do multiband, it does that. So normally if I'm like mixing on a group, I'll use it in this version. So I use this, is it tension setting? Now, when I'm using it in general, I change that and I use linear. So if I do the same thing, you're still getting the wave shaping, but it's just not crazy loud. You can change it over, but I like to use linear. And another thing that I do as well is I go into the filter section and I just cut out what I'm not using. I may even boost it sometimes. And then I will do that on the snare side as well. Also, I normally press this learn button, which basically tries to figure out the frequencies. So in here, and then I would also just lower this down a bit, just to get the snare amount, and then get rid of any kind of top end, because the top end's already here. Same thing with this. I may lower that down, maybe drop this down a bit. So this way, it means that if you add your distortion, it works on the actual band. That you're working on, rather than it being like a complete mess. So let's say, oh, and also I take off the limiter as well because I hate the way it limits. It just sounds a bit rubbish. So let's say you're happy with this. This filter is before the trash, and this filter is after trash, right? So if you want to boost stuff into trash or cut things before it hits trash, then use this. And then use this filter here to basically sculpt. If you want to. Another thing I tend to use the dynamics in a weird way. What I do is I just whack up the gate on everything. Then I crank this button up to 0. And then I use this to control everything. So I may play around with the release. And then with the compressor, I may just either bring it in, just bring it down a bit low. Also, I tend to, once I've done that, I tend to just remove some buttons, and then I'll use this as a control. And I'll just use this to control it. You know, and then if I'm like, okay, that sounds alright, then I will just go back here and maybe play around with this filter. Maybe remove some top end. Yeah, and I've got like a little preset of the way like I may like run it on a group channel, so it's gonna be quite loud. So you have like the before, and just a bit of reverb. I normally would just add an effects channel and then send that over to the reverb, create a reverb bus there. Cut out common. You know, depending on how I want to use it, and I find like this fat drums setup that I use is quite decent. So it's the same kind of setup. You know, there isn't much going on here. Just a bit of. It just seems like it's just you know, the basic wave shaping on each one, and occasionally I do then go into bipolar as well, or I use log. But that's mostly on basses. So if I just take like another, let's take something from back. Let's take something from Superior Drummer. Let's take a Superior Drummer. Something like that, you know. And you can really kind of bring out a drum kit. You know. And it really works well. And also you can do the same thing with like basses. I mean, I don't really use synths anymore, VSTs for basses, but I've got a couple of plugins that I paid for if I need to. But it's really cool on like on basses as well. So if I don't know, find bass, no, it's freaking terrible. Let's go for. Yeah, something like that. So if I, you can doing it this way is a lot better on drums as well. I mean basses. So if I let's go for trash, and I have it already set up as default, so it's linear for me already. You can see that, you can hear that, right? Because if it was just this, it would just be that horrible kind of distortion. But doing it this way, it's more like subtle, and you can mix a lot better. Then you can double up because I have it split means I can just create better sounding sounds, you know, to get rid of that. We have a bit more. And same with the bottom. And then you can then start to mix things in. So if I go to stage 2, I may change this over to subtle. And I found like this log mode, it basically increases the volume. So if I go back to this drum kit, for example, and then I turn off, well, I can leave the first track on. If I see how it's increasing the volume, but I find like it doesn't really, I don't know what it's doing, but the actual volume doesn't increase that much. So you see where it's hitting here. Sorry. You see it? Perceived loudness. The actual loudness is like not that much of a difference. But yeah. So you can just, you know, and then you go from, rather than starting from this here and then going for something like this, which would just, you know, which is just loud and just too much. So yeah, play around with trash. I mean, this is not the best bass, but I would say play around with trash a little bit more. And another thing that I do, if I just go back to this and I clear this, so how do I go to default again? fault. Yep, there we go. So another thing, if I just find, let me get a sine wave. So if I clear this, let's make a Reese. Let's make a Reese. Let's make a Reese base. There we go. Something like that. Before there's no musical logic. Or it's actually this. So I would just insert bands, right click, learn. And then change this over to linear. And maybe log mode. Makes it louder. There we go. And you can be like, okay, well, it can be a normal volume. Maybe even these stairs. See what's going on. Okay, man. Maybe. And keep the bottom end clean. You can really hear the LFO, can't you? That's why you should always low cut stuff or high cut stuff. You know, so maybe you don't want that, turn it off. Turn it on. If you don't like it, just clear it all and then. Let's try sine wave. And if it sounds like terrible, you've also got stage 2 that you can use. There we go. Bit of, yeah. So that's just like a way of using trash. It's not really anything, but it allows you to get, I've made some basses that I've been working on recently, but it allows you to kind of get like these kind of weird sounding kind of basses. I like this as well. Love that. It's just like one hit. The only way I was able to do that is because the sounds are actually random. It's randomized, so pressing the key never produces the same sound twice. So you just have to record like a long instance of it. But yeah, so yeah, with Trash, it doesn't have to sound so nastily brutal. Just change the bands to linear mode and use the tension on like the main bus. But yeah, I will literally just go in and use each trash on linear mode on each individual element and just add some like saturation or wave shaping in this case. But yeah, little video. I'll be doing a lot more of these, so let me know if anyone actually watches this and what you think, if they can be improved. I don't know. All right, cheers, bye.